Yeah, they said the same thing where we're at, but good luck doing that. I mean, you walk around, there's still a ton of public awareness out there to, you know, put your mask, and you do feel naked without it. You know, if you go someplace and you're like, oh my god, I forgot my mask, you feel shameful yourself. You're like, oh, I gotta go back and get my mask, you know? I'm here with Fernando, obviously, and about time we finally got together, you know. And
we've been talking about doing this for a long time.
Yeah, long time.
At least 6 months.
Yeah, but I've been following you since the very beginning of your channel, and I appreciate when I was stuck on the campus, you said, "Hey, why don't I come out and bring you food?" And that was a really great thing that you did. I really appreciate that.
It's so unique that you were just by yourself, because I had my wife and I could go out a little bit, and there was people around, you know what I mean? But you were just by yourself. It just felt like a natural extension of the courtesy that people were offering to me, you know what I mean? My family right now in Colombia, they're going through this ordeal back there, and you know what they're doing? They're playing bingo on WhatsApp.
Well, how long can they do that?
So they just call the number, like, bingo! Like, the first week, all I did was just binge watch TV. Yeah. But you feel the stupefying effect of just binge watching TV. I've never really understood that. I went through Breaking Bad, I went through a whole bunch of series on the first week alone, and I'm like, I can't do this. This is not for me. And that's when I started to panic a little bit, like, how long is this going to be? So I can't imagine what it was for you. I mean,
I think it's the same. I look at my situation, and I look at everyone else who was stuck at home. They were doing the exact same thing. You know, the only difference is when you live in the large apartment complex with gardens here, you know, you can walk around within the garden and say hi to your neighbors, you know. And when I walked out of my apartment, I just had the cats. Yeah. And there was nobody else.
That was a great video, man.
Which one?
I really am the one with the cats.
Oh, they're all in one.
The one that we went to have like a barbecue outside.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, your choice of music was pretty good.
One definite thing I've noticed is the perception of China outside of China is definitely different than what it is inside of China.
And I think that's what we do here as China YouTubers. We're trying to show you guys what life really is like here. They serve tea, and there's some lady playing music over there. So it's quite a nice place to come early in the morning.
So this would be part of the cultural and history during the Great Leap Forward, that they destroyed everything. But then you come to a place like this, you say, well, there's still some left, you know?
Yeah.
Still a lot left.
There are certain laws that protect places like this. There's a museum that they built about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, to showcase all the art that was actually collected from here. So now it's probably exposed in a museum. Okay, because of the situation, we can't go around the park,
But this is like so iconic when you think China and Chinese parks, and like you see this kind of architecture and these kind of scenes.
If you pan to the side, right there at the back, that is the first rotating top roof restaurant. That hotel.
Oh yeah?
The first rotating restaurant in Dongguan.
A random bit of trivia, man. Yeah. So what's the name of these gardens? What do we call this?
This is called Keyuan Garden.
Keyuan Garden, huh?
Keyuan Garden.
Okay. It's how old do you think this is?
This is hundreds of years, probably
300 or 400 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is lovely. And this is the new museum that they built.
Remaining, I mean, they keep the same architecture,
of course, yeah.
Same style. Brand new, well, a couple of years old.
I'm a business student, and I studied business. I studied international economics, geopolitical economics, and I'm still a student of it today. I absolutely love it. It's going to be such an interesting case study for going forward. And I personally don't run a business of my own, but I know you do.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about your business that you have?
Well, basically, we run 3 training centers. One of them is my own, and two with a partner. And well, basically we teach English to children.
Okay. And how long have you been in business for?
I started my company 15 years ago.
Okay. And it's a big business, English training in
It is huge.
China. Yeah.
It is huge. Having said that, I've never actually gotten to be too big. For example, I work mostly... There are a couple of things that are very different from most other training centers. We only have foreign teachers. We don't have Chinese English teachers. Number two, we only have small groups of students, so from 6 to 8 maximum, and we don't advertise. We don't advertise.
Do you have no marketing or anything?
The only growth, well, now with WeChat we try to do a little bit, but we don't have a expenditure for advertising. So
you don't have those guys on the side of the road handing out flyers like
just word of mouth, basically.
Okay. That's the best kind there is.
Each and every one of my customers has a little bit of it's closer to home, you know what I mean, closer to our hearts.
I understand. There's more of a family atmosphere.
Correct.
Yeah. And so many of your clients and customers have been with you many years, obviously.
Yes, yes. I've got students that have graduated from high school, have studied abroad, have done PhDs, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I started teaching 20 years ago, so...
Just like many businesses over the last few months here in China, you guys know many of my friends have gone out of business as a result of not necessarily the virus itself, but the response to the virus and the policies that are put in place.
It's a very good difference to make.
It's a very big difference. And everyone is struggling, even as China starts to come back online. Yeah, it's going to be a very slow burn. These 3 months have been devastating to the health of this economy and the health of the people in it.
I've been saying a couple of times on my videos that I've got a countdown, basically. I know when these numbers are not going to add up.
Well, your centers have been closed now for how long?
Finished the term on January 17th, and we haven't received any income or taught any lessons since then.
And I think we can all agree that, you know, having schools closed right now is probably a good thing for public health, right?
Yeah.
But it does have real world effect to so many other people.
When I talk about this in my video, I tell people, like, look, I know I'm struggling, I know I'm suffering, I know this is going to be life-changing, but I freaking understand. I do understand. This is just some of the things that happen in life, and it's a life-changing
Yeah, you got a great
situation,
attitude about it. That's what I've also noticed. A lot of business owners would be freaking out right now, but you seem to be taking it in stride.
Look, I was talking to my partner, the one that we're going to talk about with the podcast tonight, and he was saying to me, you have a treasure of skills that can be reignited anytime. So if I close now, I could come back 6 months from now, a year from now, and restart another training center, because that's something that nobody's taken away from me.
Now, given what has happened here in China, what are your thoughts about the ESL industry from a business standpoint? Because ESL will always be here in the public schools.
Sure.
And it's not just English education, by the way. It's music,
tutoring.
It's tutoring. Yeah, it's
vocational training, anything that's vocational learning.
It's huge here. It's insanely big. That has all been decimated. What are your thoughts about the near future and the long-term growth of this after we come out of this?
Well, the near future, there's different things that we can think about. The first thing is, well, once they go back to school, that you know that there's no free lunch in China. Every time that there's a holiday, they need to make up for lessons over the weekend. And most vocational training centers, when do they work?
On the weekends.
And weekends.
Yeah.
So if they decide that they're gonna make up for lost time by sending kids to school over the weekends, everybody's dead. I mean, even if we wait another month, but if they're gonna be teaching at school during the weekends, we're fried. We're all toast. So that's one thing to wait and see what's going to happen.
Do you think the government will take that into consideration when they allow the training centers? Because it is such a huge industry.
I'm sure they will. But they also have to take into consideration, for example, the Gaokao.
Yeah.
The university entry examination. Oh, sorry, the high school leaving examination is called the Gaokao. So people have to cover a certain amount of material before that. And then you have the Zhongshan, which is for middle school. A lot of these vocational training centers work on summer camps, summer courses. So if they don't work during the weekends, they're gonna extend the term all the way to July or beginning of August, right? And have a very short summer holiday. That means that summer camps are out the window. So whichever solution they give to the issue, we are going to struggle, and we're going to struggle for longer than 6 months, because this has repercussions. The other thing is, there has been like all you can eat feast for online service providers. So if you're not set to teach online, you're immediately at a disadvantage, and that's particularly my case. I have customers that pay me for in-person lessons, and I don't have the infrastructure or the time or money to develop an online business. So,
well, I'm quite critical of the online education system.
I think it's the reason why I don't do it.
Yeah, it can complement the traditional in-class. There is a place for it, but for it to completely replace it, I disagree with that idea completely.
When online teaching became a thing a few years ago, if you go back and trace it, when did that happen? When all these regulations started to change in China.
2015.
If you don't have a degree, you can't teach. So what did people do? Go back to the home countries, go online.
Yeah.
If they were not checking for your degree when you were here, who says they're gonna check for your degree when you're abroad? Nobody. The boom of online teaching happened when they started restricting the people who teach here in the country. That's one thing. The second thing for me, the second reason for not trying to do that is the technical challenges. If you do your live shows, right?
No.
You're like, imagine you're trying to correct somebody's pronunciation when you can't hear correctly, or when you. So, we're not there yet. At least not here in China. Maybe 5G is going to fry our brains, but improve the situation. I don't know.
I looked into online training because I hadn't done anything in the last couple of weeks, and so I started researching it, and I find it to be not very appealing. You know, it's not just the interaction with the students, but the money situation. You know,
money is so different. Number one, and number two, what is expected of you. I mean, when you are in class, you have a presence and you have an energy that you can bring. I work with 5-year-olds, so you're all over the place, and you work with university
I work with
students.
Adults too.
So it's very different.
Yeah, but I still have to be high energy, or they fall asleep.
But try to get a kid to focus, a 5-year-old kid to focus through a camera. I mean, it's way harder, way, and he starts to fall into the entertainment. Yeah, like
edutainment.
Yeah, just be a monkey on camera, so the kids are looking at you, and that's not at all what you do. I mean, if you've seen some of the videos that I post about the performance of my kids, they're 5-year-olds, but they come to perform, and we measure their performance. And here's another thing: I provide all the training to my teachers. I teach them my method. If I don't know how to do it online, what am I going to teach them? Hey, just do whatever.
Do you think it is a skill set that most teachers should learn for the future, given the progression and the growth of online? Do you think that the skills of teaching online is a skill set that all teachers should start to develop now, in preparation for this being a larger part of our world in the future?
If you look at it that way, perhaps it's a good thing to do.
In class is still the place to be, you know, and it's tough right now, and everyone and their mother has gone to the online platforms, and so the market is completely saturated as far as the labor market goes. But here in China, with everyone left China, all the foreigners left China, and now the borders are closed, how is that going to affect the labor market for foreign teachers?
Well, I've always looked at it this way. Number one, when the supply goes down and demand remains the same, salaries are going to increase. The question now is, well, supply has gone down, will demand go down as well?
Yeah, that's the unknown.
That's the big unknown. I hear from a lot of customers that they're not satisfied with online teaching.
That's the consensus I've heard as well.
They're not happy with what they get from it, even though it's cheaper and whatnot.
The customers and the teachers both are telling it.
Yeah, so chances are the demand is going to be still there.
We're going to be busy when the schools reopen, that's for sure.
Have you been discriminated against? Because that's something that was happening here. People think that you're coming from abroad and they look at you, they don't sit next to you.
Sure. Yeah, I felt it a couple times. And I was at the police station, waiting in line, and the police officer saw me waiting with my friend, and asked me to step out of line and go across the street. So I think that it's only because with this face I stand out in a crowd, and I'm easy to identify. If they knew somebody, even a Chinese person, was coming from abroad, I think the reaction would be the same thing.
Right now, we are subject to discrimination because for a Chinese person, it's impossible for them to know whether you just arrived or you never left.
That's right.
Which is my case.
Yeah, me too. I had a friend say we should make T-shirts that say "We stayed."
That's what I said.
Yeah. Was that you?
Yeah, I know. Sell it like I never left.
Yeah. I fought the virus with you.
Like a little QR code that goes into my immigration database. Yeah.
Exactly.
You can scan me.
But here in Guangdong, in my city, and I think throughout Guangdong, is generally a foreigner-friendly area.
Sure.
And I think people have a little bit of trepidation when they're around us, but I don't feel like you're a foreigner, get the hell out kind of attitude towards us. Everyone's very friendly. They just have additional questions they may ask, a little bit of worry in the back of their head. But at the end of the day, everyone still smiles and everyone's still welcoming as they've always been here.
I guess, I have to say something before we move to another place I want to show you. This doesn't feel too strange for me because I have a big black dog. So every morning,
when you go for a walk, right?
I get on an elevator and people are like, it's not me, it's the dog. So.
Yeah. Part of the city, what would we call this part of the city?
It's called Brothel.
Brothel.
This used to be, a village. This is how people used to live hundreds of years ago. But they have changed it and turned it into a bar area.
Let me take a look real quick. So yeah, it's like very gentrified, it looks like.
It's a little bit like West Street in Yangzhou.
Okay,
so to speak.
Yeah.
So it's got that vibe. It's just people playing music. There's some sketches. It's very, very cultural. And
so it's like a blend of modern, young China in a setting that has got some history to it.
Correct.
You've been in China for 20 years.
And in Dongguan for 19 and a half.
Wow. Well, where were you first then?
Well, I arrived in Shanghai.
Okay.
A day after that, I was shipped all the way to Harbin. After 2 weeks in Harbin, I was shipped to Mudanjiang, and I was there for a month. And after a month there, I was sent to Xi'an, which was my original contract. My original contract was to teach at Xi'an Translators University.
Okay.
I was in Xi'an for about 2 months, but then we had visa issues. I think they were not giving us the visas. So I went to Shenzhen for another 2 months, where again, they were not giving us the visas. And I ended up coming here for a summer camp. Now, I'll tell you the reason why I stayed. Basically, when I sat down with my boss, the guy who hired me for the summer camp, I asked him, he wanted me to stay because he was very happy with my performance. And I asked him, are you going to give me a work permit? And I said, no. Are you going to give me medical insurance? No. Return ticket? No. So, what's your answer? And so okay, I'll work for you. I was like,
wait, why?
Because he wasn't lying. Everybody else was lying about this stuff. And then his answer was actually quite simple. He said, look, we are the government. We are the City Translation Service Center. Nobody's going to be knocking at your door. This is the year 2000, okay? So I worked for him for 4 years. And then I got a little bit of cabin fever because it was a very, very small place. And I ended up in Thailand, just teaching scuba diving. I'm a scuba diving instructor. And I came back after a year and I realized that there's no money to be made in scuba diving. No, of course not. And I set up my own company here. But yeah, this place was small enough for me to create a name for myself. That's what I wanted to do.
Dongguan was small enough.
Really small. We
Wow.
didn't even have McDonald's. I saw the first McDonald's open.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, so you've really been here through the growth.
I'll tell you
Hong
what.
Kong.
The hotel you're staying at,
Which the
That's
Pullman,
what
the Pullman Hotel is very.
that's where the city ended.
You're kidding.
Anything beyond that was just farmland.
Wow. So okay, so you've been here since Dongguan was very small.
Yeah.
And then it got really big. Lots of manufacturing, lots of immigrants coming from all over China. And tell me about that part of Dongguan's history when you were here seeing the massive growth.
There was something interesting at that time. You knew every foreigner. You knew every foreigner. Literally, we were, I don't know, 50 people, 20 people.
And this is before the time of WeChat. Yeah,
Yeah.
WeChat groups to stay in touch
Because
with
a lot of people used to come and go. So permanent people here, we were very, very few. Which way do we go? This is so surreal.
Why? This is it being empty.
These things have been here for hundreds of years. This bricks. This is so old. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're walking in the past. It's just being refurbished inside, but that's about it.
And have you ever been here when there's nobody here like it is right now?
No.
Yeah.
No. I've been here a couple of times with my wife, with some friends, have some drinks. But it's always buzzing. Is that, again, that Yangshuo vibe? Music loud but yeah, it's all this artistic expression everywhere. It's painting, it's tattoos, they have dancing, they have, as I said, sketches, theater.
You can't get away from it. Dongguan has had that reputation of being
Yes.
the so-called
That's
Brothel of
reputation.
China, right?
Yeah.
And
It was true.
people still talk about it, you know, right?
It was true.
Yeah.
It was true. But yeah, Xi Jinping went to Beijing and he started climbing down on all those things.
Since then, because I've not seen that element anywhere. And if it does exist, it's behind closed doors. But this city, in the times that I've been here, has blown me away by how beautiful it is. The reputation of the city from the past has nothing to do with what it is today. I've been to many cities throughout China, and I find that Dongguan that you made a video about it is so beautiful. Wow, look at this place. This place is insane. Yeah.
When you think about Dongguan, you never think about a place like this.
No.
A colorful place, a cultural place.
Well, you seem to be very knowledgeable about your city. I'm very proud of it.
I am. I mean, when I tell people that this is my home, this is my home. I was born in Cali, in Colombia. Then I moved to Bogota. Then I went to the States. Went back to Colombia, and then I came here. And this is the place where I lived the longest in my life.
So just like you, Zhongshan, China, nice city, which I really love, is I've lived there longer than any other place I've ever lived in my life. Yeah. Yeah. I was in the service and I moved around a lot with that.
Okay.
You know, but even back home, you know, one year I lived in the desert, 1 year I lived on the ocean, you know, so it was always a different environment. But I absolutely love my city.
Dongguan is very, very misrepresented.
Yes.
People talk about it being the factory of the world, and it is. But the government has gone through lots of efforts to change it from being a labor-intensive city to a knowledge-intensive city.
I see a lot of universities.
A lot of
I see
universities,
families in the parks.
a lot of high-tech.
It'd be a great place to go bar hopping. You know, just get a bunch of friends, have a beer in one place, and then, you know, okay, this this place is dead anyways, man. And go to the next place, right?
Brothel, it's a really, really cool place that you need to come and visit when you come to Dongguan.
Yeah, great. Well, Fernando, thank you very much for spending the afternoon with me, and we had a great
My
chat.
pleasure, man. Thank you for coming down here.
Of course, man. I really enjoyed getting your perspective on these elements of life in China, and
Sure.
you know, every little thing we can learn from the people who have been here the longest.
The most important.
I don't want to call you an old man, man, but you know what I mean, though. You have the experience, and it's something that, you know, many people back in Zhongshan who have been here for a long time just kind of took me under their wing and said, this is what it's like, this is what to expect. And to have people like you who can give that to newcomers and people who want to come to China, or even people like me who've only been here for a few years, is very, very valuable resource.
I want to leave you guys with a very simple message. China is a country of change. I've seen it change, and whatever you learned, whatever you've heard, come here, check it out, and you'll see that is very different from whatever you've learned, whatever you've heard, whatever you've seen before. Even a place like Dongguan, who had a history, it's no longer that way.
No, and it won't be that way 5 years from now either,
Oh, no.
right? It'll
No.
be different then too. All right, look forward to it. Thanks everyone.
Cheers.